Hello guys, welcome back to the course. In this video, we are going to get to know more about all things that we are going to learn in this course. In this table of contents, I'm going to explain things that you are going to do, things that you are going to learn in each chapter. As you guys can see, in total, we have 10 chapters in this course. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you are going to have better understanding about things that you can expect to learn from each chapter. Okay, so now let's get started with the first chapter, whom this course is intended for. In this chapter, we are going to answer this particular question. I'm going to explain my intention behind creating this course. I'm going to explain who are my main target students for this course. And obviously, if you are interested in geographic information system, if you are interested in geospatial analysis, this is definitely the right course for you, because that's exactly what you are going to learn in this course. Okay, so now let's move on to the second chapter, Tools, IDE, and Dataset. In this chapter, we are going to talk about programming language that we are going to use in this course. For your informations, we are going to use Python. And we are also going to talk about several Python libraries that we are going to use for examples like Pandas, GeoPandas, Volume, and GeoCoder. In addition, we are going to talk about the IDE. For those of you who don't know what IDE is, IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So it is basically a place where you write and compile your code. For your informations, we are going to use Google Colab, but if you want to use different IDE, it is totally up to you. And lastly, we are going to talk about the dataset. We are going to download geospatial dataset from Kaggle and Environmental Protection Agency website. Okay, so now let's move on to the third chapter, Introduction to Geospatial Analysis. For those of you who are already familiar with this topic, feel free to skip this chapter. However, if you're new and you want to learn more about geospatial analysis, make sure that you pay very close attention to this chapter. In the third chapter, we are going to get to know more about geospatial analysis use cases in various fields like urban planning, transportation planning, supply chain optimization, public health, natural resources management, energy infrastructure planning, and still many more. We are also going to talk about technical challenges and limitations in geographic information system. For examples, dealing with low quality dataset, dealing with georeferencing and geocoding errors, dealing with spatial resolution constraint. And lastly, we are going to learn about geospatial analysis workflow. The process is consisted of 4 main steps. The first step is data collections, data preprocessing, and data cleaning. The second step is exploratory data analysis. The third step is spatial analysis, and the fourth step is geospatial modeling. Okay, so now let's move on to the next chapter, chapter 4, Basic Geospatial Techniques. Before building the project, it is very important for you to know and understand basic geospatial operations. So in this chapter, we are going to do basic trainings. Firstly, we are going to display interactive maps on Google Colab. Then after that, we are going to calculate distance between 2 locations. So I'm going to pick 2 random cities and we are going to calculate the distance between those 2 cities. Then we are going to extract coordinates from the map. We are also going to perform geocoding and reverse geocoding. Well, you might be wondering what is geocoding. So geocoding is converting address to longitude and latitude. And reverse geocoding is the opposite. So you are converting longitude and latitude to address. And lastly, we are going to find nearby city using proximity analysis. Okay, so now let's move on to the next chapter, chapter 5, Analyzing Population Density for Urban Planning. So in this chapter, we are going to get the dataset from Kaggle. To get the population density, we are going to divide the total population by the total area. Then we are going to map the population density for each state. We are going to do the mapping using volume. So you will be able to see which states has the highest population density and which states has the lowest population density. Okay, so now let's move on to the next chapter, chapter 6, Monitoring Air Quality. We are going to get the dataset from Environmental Protection Agency website. So the data contains a lot of information about AQI. It stands for Air Quality Index. So we are going to map the air quality index for its locations using volume. So you'll be able to see which locations has good air quality and which location has bad air quality. Okay, so now let's move on to the next chapter, chapter 7, mapping flood risk. So there are three factors that we will take into considerations. The first one is the elevations, the second one is the rain precipitations, and the third one is how often flood occurs based on historical data. Then we are going to map its location that has higher risk of flood. So people who live in those areas should be more prepared. Okay, so now let's move on to the next chapter, chapter 8, mapping snow cover. This project is relatively similar to the previous project, so we are going to map its location that gets a lot of snow based on historical data. So people who live in those areas should be more prepared during winter season. Now let's move on to the next chapter, chapter 9, modeling and optimizing roads. In this project, we are going to pick two random locations. Then we are going to find the shortest path from the place of origin to the destinations. For the road optimizations, we are going to use Dijkstra algorithm and also OpenStreetMap Network X. Okay, so now let's move on to the next chapter, which is also the last chapter, conclusion and summary. In this chapter, I'm going to summarize all things that we learned in this course, and I'm also going to share a few tips and tricks on how to improve the accuracy of your geospatial analysis. Okay guys, I think that's it. That's all you need to know. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.